Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. As you know, I stress, emphasize, push in the direction of self-inquiry very firmly, very strongly, unrelentingly, really, in our exchanges. Can you see why I so strongly advise and direct you through this path? It's clear for you why it is?
I'd like to speak to that, Mooji.
You'd like to say something about it? Okay.
Yes, lovely. I feel like I've been on a very circuitous path my whole life. Sort of someone who's like sort of dabbled and tasted nearly everything. I can't say everything, but many, many paths. And I would say like I found varying degrees of peace and serenity, but I never before discovering self-inquiry found something that I felt that even in moments, even in just the glimpses of clarity, that I felt I really tasted my true nature. We could call the Buddha nature or the Christ consciousness. I'm actually very grateful to have this opportunity to speak with you because I wanted to talk about a little bit more about my experience and what's happening for me while I'm here. So like tonight, before coming to dinner, I had some time and I was laying and practicing to the best of my ability, and I feel like I get to a point, I feel very, very present. I feel very aware of both my body sensations, very much put my attention on the eye. Try to focus my attention on just that one thought, I am, to the best of my abilities. And I feel that what happens for this one is that I feel like I hit almost a wall, but it's not a solid wall, of course. It's more like a quicksand, I think is the word that you've used. And so I feel like I'm so close because I'm aware enough to sort of be aware of the thinker and to be aware that like I'm feeling that quicksand, but there's still, I don't know what it is that's like still in that Maya or in that illusion that I don't know what it is. It's clinging to that when I know that past that, the freedom is so priceless. And Mooji, I'm just being really honest with you.
Very good. Very good. My answers are very much for anybody who is focused towards the same urge for freedom. So when you even say that now you've done very well, you've come to a point where even you say, I'm aware of the thinker, or the one who is like living life and even maybe practicing, so on, and that is watched even from this space of natural presence, which you may call the sense I am, the feeling I exist. Because without the I exist, Nothing else can be said to exist. Everything else take their birth secondarily to the I exist. The I exist must be there. It must be primary in terms of here-ness. And then other things can be said to then derive their existence secondary to the presence of the feeling I am, the feeling I exist. So then you say also, I try to fix my attention on the I am. That is an attempt to do something, to fix the attention on I am. And that has been useful up to a point when I feel that, okay, we haven't as yet come to the place of I am in its undivided purity. Some effort has been made, first of all, through understanding that the sense I am is already here. It cannot be reached because it is already here. But it must be recognized somehow. It must be verified that this is, that all things are reporting to that most intimate sense of being. When and if this is clear, no? Then it becomes clear and spontaneously known to you that everything else is appearing on the screen of consciousness or something. They're appearing as phenomena inside your perceiving ability. Everything is like this. And then you say, then okay, then let them be then, because they seem to be going on quite well without me. They are moving according to their own laws. They are just like clouds floating in that open expanse. They're going, nobody put them there, nobody takes them away. They come and go. They appear, they disappear. But some intelligence must be there to discern their appearance and their disappearance. So that discernment is intimate to you, because you say, yes, I can see they're coming, I can see thoughts coming, I can feel sensations, I can feel their loudness, I can feel them going. This is a report about traffic. What comes, what goes. Emotions, they're coming, they're rising, sometimes very loudly, they're present, but again, they're also seen weakness to be passing also. Everything has been like that. When it has been clear like this, that if one merely observe without touching the feeling, I must do something about this, which by the way is also observable as an intention or a feeling, and see that if that feeling comes, oh yes, I must do this, I must stop doing this, and you know that, and then it's pointed out to you, but that is also a sensation that is also perceived. Don't take hold of that, don't purchase, don't believe, don't follow that. It's enough right now just to detect that that is also a sensation. And what is the purpose of the inquiry? It is only to be very clear as to what you, first of all, maybe what you are not. What you are not. If we can come to that point where it is clear for you, but this, I cannot be this, cannot be this, cannot be this. We don't even have to call it religion or spirituality even. Just clear thinking, it cannot be what is. It comes and goes. There are appearances. The sense about what is must be that it must be constantly is. Not is not. But it must be constantly is. Now, you may say, but its isness is not constant to my perception. Are we together on this so far? Yes. Yeah. So therefore, if you speak about what is, always is, but it's not always is to my perception. Because when I perceive it, it is. When I don't, then it's not. So which is the greater? The apparent isness, or the me that says I am not aware of the isness? This is something very important, and I want just to take, we want to slow down a little bit so that we chew and digest as we go. Okay? Because here is very important place where often a lot of misunderstanding happens, where it seems that myself as the I am or the personality even, I'm in a firmer, more factual place than the apparent great Is-ness. Because I am the one that can say, I recognize the Is-ness. So, therefore, is the Is-ness, or the pure reality, is it also a phenomenon to me? And if it is a phenomenon to me, it cannot be the ultimate. It means that I am greater than that Is-ness. Then who are you? So let's just gargle with that for a little bit. Because it seems that often we are saying and speaking like this, sometimes whenever I come back to that Is-ness, then everything is fine. But then somehow my mind arises and I go off again, and the Is-ness is lost. So this one who is speaking appears to be the final acknowledger of what is true. This one feels like a fact, and that what is comes and goes. Now, I'm just asking now, is this true? Tonight we must clarify something. I don't want anybody, as far as can be helped, to go to sleep tonight without resolving something of what I'm speaking today.
When you say the Is-ness, you mean the witness position?
No, I'm talking about that within, okay, this is a good point. When we speak about witness, we imagine somehow that witnessing is witnessing of every phenomena in terms of its potential state or its actual condition or actuality, that all of that is witnessable, whether it be in terms of emotion or thought or some physicality, everything that is elementally substantial, all of this, the functioning of the presence and functioning of intellect, the powers of imagination, the powers of belief, the powers of even attention, intimate powers in the beingness, that all of them are perceivable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that is then clear that, they can only be known because there is a prior space of perceiving. Okay?
Yeah.
And then the question was asked then, this primal space of perceiving is there. Can this perceiving or perceiver itself be perceived? It's one of my questions.
No.
And because?
Because I can only be it. I cannot see. I cannot see it.
And I is what?
The seer. But the seer is like when mind rise up, and then it's like sometimes I still log on, right? And then and then something happens, and I'm aware of that, and then and then I can go back to this. It's not going back, but then I'm also aware of this.
Okay, let me ask you something. Is there a difference between the seer and the seeing, not the seen, not the thing seen, but the function of seeing? Is there the function of seeing, and is there a seer at the end of the function of seeing? Let's slow down, because as I'm asking you, I don't feel that you have prepared answers, so I'm not in a hurry. I want you just to check in and come from the place of your own seeing, rather than from something that you might have read or something like that. Yeah? Is the seeing a function in front of an entity which is doing the seeing? Is there a difference between the seeing, the function of seeing, the activity of seeing, and the seer? Is there a seer seeing?
Intuitively says no.
No.
So, what are you saying? Which is the real? The seer or the seeing? The seeing. Is there witnessing of seeing also? No, not. Is there awareness of even the function of seeing?
There is awareness of perception.
Huh?
There is awareness of perception.
There's awareness of perception. My question, is there a perceiving of seeing itself, of the action of seeing, perceiving?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So, where does the perceiving of perceiving arises from? And what is there? And who are you?
It's not
Or-
even arising, it is.
Huh?
It's not even arising, it is.
It is. And you are?
I am this.
Sorry?
I am this. I am this. It's not even space, it's perceiving, pure and unconcerned.
Sometimes?
Always.
Can this understanding be called dry?
No. Dry.
Meaning that is merely just psychological, intellectual, theoretical, mental?
No.
Okay.
Like you mean that I experience it, like that I have inner knowledge that this is the truth for me, right?
Yes.
It's not dry when you're really doing it, when you're really looking.
By looking in this way, are you kind of producing joy? Or what is the outcome of this introspection?
The background of which is joyful.
Just kind of emptiness for me.
Alive.
Yes.
Openness.
Aliveness.
Silence.
Yeah.
Openness to possibility.
It's relief from being a person for me,
Relief from being person.
and it's like total relaxation. It's like the life ends, you know. It's ending for me. I have nothing more to do, and then I'm just here.
That is an interesting expression. Life is ending for me. It's not an attractive thought for some place, a mind in a mind or something like this. But I like it because there's space in it for me. Do you find same thing or not? Is your mind tight with words that when you hear them, it's like they take breath from you? Or can you find where they are real in the context of their expression? They said that life is ending for me,
Yeah.
and there's nothing really I need to do. Is that does that mean the end of activity for you?
No, because the person that I see, I cannot control, yeah? So,
Mm.
so things happen, or don't happen. This is keeps going on, but in my true identity, seeing it, I know I have nothing that I can do about it.
Mm.
So, and this is a great relief,
Mm.
and just observing it, and not just observing, but also just it's being. It still happened, but I'm not a part of it.
Okay. Is there something what is the highest expression of observing? Because for a while our observing is of some phenomenon or some phenomena which seems to be in a state of movement. It comes and goes, comes and goes, comes and goes. At first it can be that there appears to be a kind of active observing, meaning that there is a sensitivity to what is being observed, and reactions are taking place, and the reactions are taking place apparently in the seeing place, like this. So we then say, but if reactions are occurring inside the seer, then that seer is not yet pure, because it's whatever it is seeing is a reflection of perhaps some current inside itself. So if that is also then noted, that but yes, actually that seer is not complete, so therefore it amounts to another kind of phenomenon, and there's a deeper seeing in which that reactionary seeker is also seen, and then in that moment there's nothing left to define the seer. There's only the seeing is present, and the previous point of seeing, which was felt to be perhaps more alive, more personal, more passionate, now floats up on the screen of what is phenomenally perceivable, like this. Now gradually, as the observing deepens, matures more, one just comes to see that, but all of it is just phenomenal. Everything is just coming and going. This is coming and going. But that which is watching, is that coming and going? Is the watcher of all of this also coming and going?
No, it's not coming and going, but not at all. But the attention.
But
the attention.
yeah.
Like I'm not always in my true identity, right? Like still. Like it's like I'm tripping, going into the identity. I forget.
Okay.
And then there is a reminder. Usually it comes with I start to suffer from something, and then in this instant there is also awareness of it, and then okay.
Very good, thank you. Let us see if we can go a bit further. Witnessing of phenomena can only take place in the realm of consciousness, in the realm of the dynamic consciousness, when the sense I am is present. The sense I am is not always present. The sense I am is present in waking state. In deep sleep it is not there.
No.
So therefore, this type of observation, of watching what comes and goes and so on.
And what stays.
And what stays, you say?
Like I cannot see it, but I'm aware of this presence.
You can only have somehow the taste of that perception and observation during the waking state. So therefore, when we say that the witness, which is active during the presence of consciousness, watching the comings and goings of whatever emotion, thought, sensations, time, relationships, concepts, is only available in a certain phase of consciousness, because we say that this weakness doesn't move, but then it's not there at some point. When we're in a position to observe or to know that the feeling I am itself, even during the waking state, is observable, not just as a kind of projection or kind of intellectual comprehension, but really with feeling, intensely, intuitively know this. Are you aware of this?
You said before. The seer and the seeing.
Let's speak up. So I'll relate what you're saying. She's saying the seer and the seen,
If they are the same.
if they are the same.
I feel they are not the same. It's that the seeing happens out of the seer. Because the seeing only happens in a waking state. And the seer is just there. It's like, it's almost, if I can put in words, I would say it's just a sureness that is. But even the sureness come from the waking state, because in the sleeping state, even the sureness is not there. But the I would say the difference from your presence and my presence would be that in a waking state I doubt and you don't. But what is in a sleeping state or in a waking state. In a waking state, with the awareness of it, it's easier to touch that sureness. But even when the understanding...
Sureness means certitude, certainty.
Yes, sorry.
So no, it's good. It's a good word. It's a good word.
But in any, like when I'm not aware of this certainty, it still is. It's just mind. It's allowed to play its doubts.
Who is aware of what is?
The mind.
Oh, it's aware of itself. It's aware of itself.
It's aware of itself, you see.
And sometimes not.
These are very subtle things we are speaking. These are very subtle things we are speaking now. And intuitively and inwardly are we present in our listening and speaking, because what is, let's not speak of what is as though we're speaking about a phenomenon that we're discussing isness, because our very discussing of isness, it arises in isness. Now, do we perceive or not? Even the discussion about what is arising in what is. Even the we who is talking about, we accept it is or it is not, ourselves are images inside that isness, which can be only what we truly are, being spoken about by what we imagine ourselves to be.
I'm not following.
Yes. Intuitively, there's a sense in us that is there, secondary to what I say, what just is, which is not depending upon any movement, any activity, any perception. It simply is. That is the point beyond which there's no other space. There's nothing behind it. It is just what is. It's not an image. It's without image. but images are perceivable in it on account of consciousness in the mind. Mind also appears in it as thought. So this it that I'm speaking about is what we are, because we cannot speak about an it which we are not. Otherwise, it's just imagination, which is also within us, part of us, what we are. Okay, I'll try again. In simple terms, it can feel like whatever we speak about, no matter how clever we are, no matter how intuitive, spontaneous, precise, all these are merely phenomenal expressions arising in what I call is-ness, which is not at all affected or is deeply concerned about it. This is what I say, this is what we are. That it might appear to us speaking like this, that which is being referred to as is-ness or amness or what is, or whatever name you may call, absolute, God, supreme, it all works for that wordless is-ness, if you want to put like this, okay? It doesn't say I am, it allows this saying I am to arise through consciousness. It speaks like this. And I'm saying it alone is. And all that appears, all the multitudinous conversations and thoughts and differences are all expressions arising out of it. It has no enemy. It has no friend. It has no partners. It is immutable, and yet it is not stagnant, it's not sterile, it's not unfeeling. No words in any language can define, contain, grasp, comprehend, or convey what it is. But it gives power, strength, and meaning and authority to words or any other expression. Anything that can be felt or perceived derive their power out of that source. You can call another word I like also a source. We're not speaking. It appears as though we are few sitting here discussing what is, as though it is somewhere else, or it's something to reach. But all these are concepts, because being infinite, because there's nowhere where it is not. So being infinite, it has no address. It cannot move. It cannot be less here and more somewhere else. But this sense that it is more in some place and less in other places, which is true and false. And I want to point out that everything that we say or believe conceptually is true and false.
Why the perception of this is-ness is not as appealing as the other mind emotions? I mean, it's so subtle.
Because you cannot have that kind of virility of mind and is-ness at the same time. In a sense, to whom will is-ness be attracted or attractive? Who will be attracted to it? It expresses as mind, and mind itself is said to be its instrument for illusions and delusion. And it needs to create illusion, to create the sense of duality, separateness, otherness, because without otherness or duality there cannot be experience. And so experience is something that was its clever idea, as you can say like this, in order to have a sense of reaching something, losing something, gaining something, forgetting something, remembering something, dying to itself, becoming alive. All of these things can become can enter into expression. Otherwise, they cannot come. I say it alone is, even while it manifests in the most intricate ways and expressions, it remains completely untouched.
So your personality must disappear to really know this.
You can use the word that the personality must disappear is one way you can put it. You can also see that when it is in self-recognition, the light and strength of apparent personality dissolve. The personality only appears because there's belief in personality, and the belief is what energizes and gives life to the sense of any concept. Everything is born out of the believer. This is why I say that we are perceiving what we conceive.
There is a feeling that the personality doesn't disappear. The attachment to the personality disappears. Because something is keep.
What do we mean by personality?
Like the form which you digest the relations and the life in one way.
Because we have different ideas about personality, that we have to first make sure that we are speaking on the same page what we're speaking. Because for many people like you gave one you may say definition of personality, but personality can also just sort of mean the idea of an autonomous self with its conditioning and its unique perfume that arises out of that conditioning. But that perfume is not fixed. It's like a constantly changing self-portrait, shaped by moods and other factors, most of which are untraceable. We cannot catch hold of where they enter into contributing to the fragrance of what you feel you are in any moment. So we're not talking, somehow in the consciousness, in the mind, takes a kind of psychic photograph of the sense of one's self-image and uses that as a route to also to develop itself through its own concepts. But when one recognizes that all of these are just sort of soap bubbles basically, then it's not that they need to be burst, it's just that somehow the attention reverts back to the source, and in that marination of attention in the source, all that is unreal disappears. And by disappearing, all it means is that it loses power. There's no interest in it. And when interest is lost, a thing is not perceived. It could be in front of your eyes in a physical way, but it is not perceived. I mean, the very fact that the eyes can really, you may call, scan across so much phenomena, potentially, and yet picks up something only here or there, but everything is equal in physical seeing, but doesn't amount to perception. That what is being perceived arises through also conditioning. That if you were registering every single phenomena, every single thing, object, that physically the eyes, touch, you'll be out of space, basically. You'd be maybe crazy. You would just speak gibberish. You would not be able to somehow process it.
On one part, this recognition that I am that is coming. And on the other part, there is this pull of fear. I know that's fear of the mind, but it is. So it's just like going back and forth.
What is the substance of the fear? What is the message in the fear?
Disappearing.
Disappearing. Thank you. And what is disappearing?
Mind.
So if you say disappearing, it means that some portion of it is already gone.
Yes.
And it's witnessed to be sort of dissolving in its potency or something like that.
Yes.
Okay? Is it painful?
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. So you listen to this, In the actual watching of the mind disappearing is something actually very beautiful, very spacious, but still there's a fear of disappearing. And these apparent contradictions and paradoxes will continue to happen at that very intimate. The deeper the introspection goes, the more simple and clean it becomes. Sometimes you will find that little waves of fears will come, but until you face them and look at them and see what they are about, because the fear actually grows more through lack of observation as well. You see, it's just like fear. It's just a feeling. Sometimes we have a feeling and the mind names it fear, and it's like enough to not try to go further. It's now the time to back away from the fear. You're going to get burnt. But at this level of inquiry, I want you to look at that, to feel the fear coming up, not to make any effort to try and get rid of it or to find some distraction away from that, but to feel the presence of the fear and use it, actually, rather than run. Because if you run, you come back, it's going to be bigger than you. So when it comes to make use of the fear, to find out who is the one who is afraid, of what you're afraid also. And there's no cynicism in this questioning, but just to kind of identify what the fear is about and who is the fear for. To just look quietly, steadily, because sometimes as you begin to look more deeply towards for the sake of clarity, what begins to happen is that you begin to lose what your question is. This is quite a common phenomenon, that as you go into something, some question, some doubt, which has had substance, had power, and you begin to look at it, you find that you're not able to retain focus on it. The mind wants to swap it for something else, to give you an easier thing or to change the question or something. And through this very act, you come to see actually that there is something to your questioning, you see. And something wants to get away. It wants to hide, doesn't want this question to be asked. And this is why I say at this stage, the mind begins to throw stones in the bush to get your attention off the question, because it's coming uncomfortably close to exposing what is unreal. Do you have the urge or the determination to go through?
Yes.
And this is one point where that is one aspect of the inquiry which may come up, and you are to slay the dragon in each room. Because if you say well, there are other aspects I prefer. No, as they come, you will slay the dragon in each room.